We have a lovely service. My husband here. Thank you. Stood behind me in landmarks.
Tornado, so he's ready then about it.
It is a tornado.
Very excited.
She said group picture? Yeah. At this point?
Where do you want us today? Right here? That's fine. Thank you.
Secretary General for coming.
Thank you.
Secretary General is
No, very happy.
Garden today, a very fitting place to talk about landmines. We live in a country and a world where there's an estimated 70 million landmines in 70 countries. So as we gather at this very beautiful venue in California that represents our hostess with a legacy, a vision of imagination for peace on earth. We welcome you, Secretary General and Mrs. Annan, to California, and most especially to the Walt Disney Concert Hall. So delighted with this place. Cheryl, Pennies for Peace. That is part of our Roots of Peace effort to take out landmines worldwide. So on behalf of children around the world who have no voice and who live in a world where it is not a magic kingdom, where landmines are in the ground and every hour someone steps on landmines. Peace is priceless, and children in Marin County, where the mission of UN began, have raised over 1 million pennies to take out landmines in Afghanistan and put schools and soccer fields. So in honor of peace, the peace is priceless, the penny represents, and this is for you, Secretary General, these are cufflinks, and the penny actually has the photo.
Can we see?
The image of Abraham Lincoln. Landmines began in the Civil War, and this is a reminder to face the issue now, over 100 years later, and to turn swords into plowshares, and e pluribus unum, from many comes one. So we hope at the end of our penny campaign that we truly can help the children. So thank you very much, and welcome. And we have a small proclamation from the city of San Rafael, Mayor Al Boro. Are you here? This is our mayor from the...
Good afternoon. Welcome to California. I'm very pleased to be here today. Heidi lives in our city of San Rafael, and some of you probably know that San Rafael was founded by the Franciscans in 1817 and became a refuge for Indians who needed to be healed. And we are named after the Archangel, and we are a city of healing. We're also a city that's very diverse, and we're so proud and pleased with Heidi and the work that she has done for Roots for Peace. And I have for you a proclamation today that basically declares today United Nations and Roots of Peace Minds Divine Day. And I want to thank you very much for being with us today and all your support for Heidi and his member together.
Thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice planning.
and Your Excellency and Mrs. Annan, we're thrilled to have you here. That's what they're told me. But and everyone that's here, thank you. It was a lot of work on Heidi's part, and Emily Laskin, and everybody working with her here at the Walt Disney, at the Concert Hall and the Philharmonic. But I'm just so pleased to welcome you here. About a year ago to the day, I went to a luncheon at Erica Hills and gave for Roots of Peace. I went deliberately. I was determined to go because I wanted to meet Heidi. I knew Mike Gergich and I knew of their work. And at that luncheon, Heidi had a film from Lincoln Bloomfield, from the State Department. I think he made it the day before or something and FedExed it out. And he stated the State Department's support of what Heidi was doing, and I have been with her ever since. I'm very excited to be a part of what she's doing. And I'm going in unfamiliar territory, and I'll leave the rest to you.
Very familiar territory, and I just thank you, Diane. Diane, it is I who'd like to thank you for being the gracious hostess and supporting this vision of turning swords into plowshares by removing the seeds of destruction caused by landmines and returning the land and the earth to productive agricultural use. I'd like to thank and honor the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mrs. Annan, who joined us in the launch of Roots of Peace when it was just a seed of an idea. It has grown. It has grown with vision, and we have invited all of you to this very private but very important luncheon. For Roots of Peace began as a toast in the living room of our home in September of 1997 with a very simple toast that the world may go from mines to vines. We had an image and a vision to convert killing fields into bountiful vineyards, to restore the love of the earth in contrast to the seed of hatred that is sown not only in the soil, S-O-I-L, but into the soul for generations to come. It is truly turning blood into wine by removing the deadly seeds and horror that a $3 landmine is put into the ground and costs about $1,000 to take out. This is an opportunity, a moment in time in this beautiful venue. As I've learned and worked so much with the wonderful people at the Philharmonic, the Los Angeles Philharmonic, I've learned so much in the last 2 days about the history of the Disney family, the generational wisdom that reminds us today one of the few seeds we have in common, rather than those what separate us, is that when a seed is planted with sunlight, water, and a human hand, it will grow into a beautiful flower. The inspiration of this beautiful hall, the beautiful twisted metal designed so artistically and with such great faith by Frank Gehry, was done in the image of a flower, a great love of Diane's mother, Lillian. And that spirit is invited into this room today because it is that same metal that grows and twisted with an artistic hand into the heart of Los Angeles is a symbol of a flower. In another context, somewhere in this world today, every hour someone steps on a landmine. And that same metal is a seed of destruction, with shrapnel blinding a child, as a farmer is trying to till his soil, or a child is picking flowers for their mother. Landmines are indiscriminate weapons of mass destruction in slow motion, and often miss their intended victims. So I thank everyone here today and invite you to be part of our Roots of Peace, our efforts to turn the seeds of destruction caused by landmines into seeds of hope. The vision of the United Nations, when it was founded in Marin County in 1945, following the atrocities of World War II, the world came together beneath, as my grandmother told me, the towering trees of redwoods, the redwood trees of Muir Woods. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt, our president at the time, called the world together. It was very hard to bring all of the nations of the world together to agree on one common cause, and that cause was derived from generational wisdom. 3,000 years ago, written and inscribed across the street at the United Nations, a wall that is often forgotten, but yet a wall of opportunity. And this wall, etched in stone, is the home to the Roots of Peace Garden, launched by, again, Mrs. Annan on another occasion. And it reads, "They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, so that nation shall not lift up sword against nation, and there shall be no more war." These words were written 3,000 years ago, and I am firmly of belief that they are as powerful today as they were written 3,000 years ago. As we are prepared to enjoy this beautiful luncheon, we're reminded of this harvest of hope. Please enjoy the flowers at your table, enjoy the bounty of the earth, and please remember what can be accomplished with a simple toast, a simple dream, a simple vision that is seemingly so impossible. But all of us together, landmines is something that can be addressed. It's not like breast cancer, it's not like AIDS, it's something man-made. And coming together as a world, e pluribus unum, we can make a difference. So I thank you again, Diane, Erica Hills, so many of the Vintners who have helped us take a seed of an idea. Today, this summer, we are in 4 countries with Roots of Peace. We're planting rice in Cambodia, grapes in Afghanistan, orchards in Croatia, and as you can see with a table, and I say with great depth, we're actually planting wheat in Iraq. And so fitting that our table is wheat, because when the first bomb went off in August of this year in Baghdad, many of our friends were killed, and they were hosting, coincidentally, when the lights went out, a landmine conference. A very brave gentleman who's in charge of 70 countries, Martin Barber, was delivering a speech. And in the living room of our home, we thought we need to do something small but tangible to help Iraq. And that morning we donated a large contribution to turn minefields into wheat fields so that hopefully neighbor can break bread with neighbor again. So please keep that spirit in mind when you enjoy your bounty of our meal today in this harvest of hope. And it is now my great honor and deep pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, a gentleman whose roots of peace emanate from Africa, one of the most heavily mined countries in the world. Countries such as Angola, which once produced mangoes and coffee, were primary sources of export before the planting of landmines. And today, I just honor his efforts in answering the letter of a mother, the mother of 4 children, and my dear husband Gary has supported me from this toast in the living room of our home. But I just want to say what a dream can do for children who wish upon a star far across the world for peace and just the ability to play. It is my deep pleasure and tremendous honor to introduce to us a man of grace and diplomacy, a man who truly plants the roots of peace on earth. Secretary General Kofi Annan of the United Nations.
Thank you very much, Hedy, for your words and also for reminding us that it is okay to dream. It all begins with a dream, and now you tell us, follow it up with a toast and then action. So hopefully we'll be hearing lots of toasts around the world after those dreams followed by action. Mrs. Disney Miller, I'm really very happy to meet you, and also your 3 children who are here with us this afternoon, and for your own commitment and contribution to this great cause. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, my wife and I are delighted to be with you today, and I'm sure I speak for all of us in saying I feel privileged to be in this magnificent new hall, this masterpiece of urban renewal and architectural excellence. It strikes me that this hall is also a metaphor for renewal of the spirit and resonance of our common humanity. It is a fitting tribute to Walt Disney, whose work touched the hearts of millions. I believe Walt Disney's ability to communicate with people of all continents came from his understanding of universal human values. Values he described as just what most of us are probably thinking every day: the right to live and raise my family under the flag of tolerance, democracy, and freedom. Today, I'm especially grateful to one member of the Walt Disney family, his daughter and our gracious co-host, Diana Disney Miller, who is so generously and consistently committed to supporting the mining efforts in Afghanistan. I'm equally thankful to Haiti, who founded the Roots of Peace in 1997, and I recall that day in your house when Nan and myself joined others at the beginning of your efforts, and we are really, really very pleased to see how it has grown. And we toast a lot at the UN. I hope each toast will lead to an action like this. Haiti, your astonishing energy and enthusiasm and the success of your organization in helping to eliminate landmines and creating lands for peace and prosperity provide an inspiration for us all. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a special day in more ways than one. It marks the 6th anniversary of the opening for signature of the Anti-Personnel Mine Ban Treaty, also known as the Ottawa Convention. Under the auspices of that landmark treaty, millions of mines have been destroyed and many wonderful partnerships have flourished, such as the one between United Nations family and the Roots of Peace. Today also marks the International Day of Disabled Persons, a day of tribute to men and women and children everywhere who strive to lead full and dignified lives regardless of disabilities, so many of which have been caused by landmines. Some of the most powerful advocates of demining and mine awareness are individuals who themselves were disabled by landmines. I salute every one of them for their courage, and I also salute the peoples of the world and civil society, without whose support and action we would not have had the Ottawa Convention, and we would not have begun to contain the landmines. Could you imagine if we did not have that convention, what we would be dealing with today? At least today we know that the problem is not going to grow, and what we need to do is to lift these mines, and as you heard from Haiti, how expensive they are to do. And today the United Nations also launches its portfolio of mine action projects for 2004, a catalog of projects of demining, awareness raising, and physical and economic rehabilitation of mine action survivors in 36 countries around the world. I understand you are being given copies of the portfolio, and I hope you will take a few moments to look at it later. Above all, I hope you will remember the bottom line about these abominable devices. Landmines cannot discriminate between the footsteps of a soldier and those of a child. And neither soldier nor child should ever be exposed to the inhuman effects of these redundant weapons. And I have seen at first hand the devastating consequences that landmines can bring when they lie buried silently in the ground years after the actual fighting has ended, waiting to kill and maim. A single landmine, or even the fear that there might be one, can hold a whole community hostage. It can prevent the cultivation of an entire field. We thought of wheat. It can prevent people from going to the field to cultivate. It can prevent children from walking to school, rob a whole village of its livelihood. This threat remains for decades as ordinary people try to go about their daily lives. Many landmine victims were breadwinners. Now they need help for rehabilitation and reintegration. It is a tragedy for them and a serious obstacle to their country's development. So, ladies and gentlemen, the challenges are enormous. but there are powerful reasons to hope. Production of new landmines has dropped dramatically. International trade in anti-personnel mines has virtually stopped. Fewer mines are being laid. The number of new victims is down. Governments, business, and civil society have understood how crucial it is to help people and communities clear mined areas and then make productive use of the land. This is what Roots of Peace has done so well in collaboration with Vinters of California, transforming mines into vines and ore grains in Croatia and Afghanistan, and now in Cambodia and Iraq. One of my most memorable experiences was landing in Kabul airport almost 2 years ago in one of the most heavily mined areas in the world, and being greeted at the airport by a demining honor guard representing 7,000 Afghan deminers. Those deminers have now cleared enough land to allow hundreds of thousands of Afghan people to return to lives free of the threat of mines and unexploded bombs. My dear friends, a world without mines is still far away, but it is not an impossible dream, and it's a dream we must keep. More and more governments agree that mines have no place in the civilized kind of society we want to live in and build for our children in the 21st century. The land and the kind of society in which Walt Disney spoke of raising his children, which I referred to earlier. More and more individuals like you are supporting the work for a world free of mines, working in partnership with the United Nations through groups like this one. I hope many more of you will follow this example. Mine action is just one of the many issues on the United Nations agenda where we need to work in partnership with individuals and organizations from civil society and the private sector. I recall on my very first day in office telling the General Assembly that alone I can do nothing, but reaching out and working in partnership with individuals, groups like your civil society, private sector foundations and universities, we can achieve a lot. Whether you join us in that struggle against mines, or the fight against AIDS, or protection of the environment, or on any of our other causes, I look forward to welcoming you to the UN family and the challenge we all have ahead. Thank you very much.
Is complete without grace, and we have an ecumenical blessing. I'd like to introduce Stephen Julia Stein for a brief ecumenical grace for this special luncheon. Thank you.
Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. May peace be unto us all. Your Excellency, Mrs. Annan, distinguished guests. Last night, Heidi asked me if I would give the blessing today, and I thought, well, in fact, perhaps I was the one who received this blessing to meet a woman so passionate about something so, so very important. We began to, of course, speak about roots of peace, roots of vineyards and agricultural matters, and then our conversation shifted to roots of words. For in the Bible, the language that ultimately spawned Judaism and Christianity and Islam, we're dealing with a language that is built on roots of 3 letters. In a moment, we'll say a blessing, and I'm sure you'll respond, Amen, or I believe. But I think it's profound to realize that those three letters, the Aleph, the Mem, and the Nun, they also build emunah, faith, and they build omanut, art. So as we are here, living and breathing in a building certainly created by extraordinary faith and unbounded art, may we take the beauty and the transcendence of this building forward and move through our faith and through the artistry of each and every one of us to make a land that will one day, God willing, rest in shlemut, in wholeness, and upon it people who will walk in shalom, in peace. Baruch atah Adonai, blessed are you, O source of all being, who causes sustenance to come forth from this earth, and let us say, Amen.